A brain-computer interface is a rapidly improving technology that allows you to have a connection between your brain and external devices, which allows for the monitoring of brain activity and the control of devices through brain signals. Many people at this point have heard of Elon Musk's Neuralink, which has become the most well-known implantable brain-computer interface company of recent years, but in truth, there's been an explosion in implantable and non-implantable BCI technologies over the past 5 years. In this video, we'll take a look at their various forms and functions to help us better understand the question, what exactly is a brain-computer interface? I've been working with these technologies for the past 10 years, and I'm totally blown away by the progress in recent months. On one hand, you have Neuralink, which is right now restoring mobility to quadriplegics by giving them control of digital interfaces like a mouse cursor after surgically implanting a chip into the motor cortex of their brain that allows them to control movement. But you also have all kinds of devices that are allowing people to navigate the internet through hand gestures, from signals in the visual center of the brain, make prompts to artificial intelligence through visualization commands, and even make brain measurements and interventions to improve things like overall brain health, sleep, focus, and meditation training. To understand these devices, we need to understand the basic science of the brain, which is made up of cells called neurons that send electrical impulses to each other as a form of communication. Everything that we think, see, and feel could theoretically be decoded from these brainwave patterns. These signals have proved to be too complex, for example, to understand what's happening in someone's mind on a thought-to-thought basis, but artificial intelligence is definitely helping us decode more general brain states like quality of sleep, movement control, relaxation, focus, and understanding what visual stimuli someone's been presented. All of these are starting to get decoded to various degrees. For decades now, scientists have grouped neurons into groups that represent different functional areas and circuits that tend to have specific functions. For example, there's a strip along the mid part of your brain right here that's responsible for movement control, while in contrast, the back area is heavily involved in decoding visual information. So understanding what those areas are for and then tapping into the electrical or blood flow patterns help us understand how those areas of the brain are decoding that information from moment to moment, which is crucial in creating brain-computer interface technologies. With AI and machine learning, we are increasingly able to decode what these signals mean and translate them into useful code to interact with other technologies. One problem is that the brain is protected by a thick layer of bone called the skull and cerebral spinal fluid that surrounds, protects, and provides nutrients to the brain. All this protection significantly muffles the signals that we're trying to measure if we're on the outside of the scalp, which reduces signal accuracy and quality and makes it more difficult for AI to decode what these different brain pattern measurements mean. One of the ways to get the best signal is to drill a hole through your skull and implant electrodes directly onto the surface of the brain to get the best signal. Neuralink does just that, and they even have a surgical robot that inserts tiny threads with electrodes into the brain to get information about the neurons firing underneath. They have one public human patient so far, Nolan Arbaugh, who's proved to be a smart, articulate, and inspiring first patient for the company. This guy is so optimistic in the face of what he's been through, and he literally made me cry when I was watching the Lex Fridman podcast. So the threads were inserted into his motor cortex, and now when he imagines moving his right hand, for example, the cursor can be moved to the right through programming, and similar directions can be programmed for similar movements. For instance, if he imagined moving his left hand, the cursor would go left. Neuralink revealed that they can detect neuron firings down to the level of moving individual fingers. And Nolan stated that he learned to move the cursor just by thinking about moving it rather than associating it with the movement of any body part at all. In fact, on both Joe Rogan and Lex Fridman podcasts, he talked about how the cursor was starting to move before he even actively started to move it, bordering on the level of precognition. Nolan thinks that eventually he'd be able to outplay different video game players because of how quickly he can move the cursor now with his mind. So this is a very exciting first step towards high performance BCI, but it does come with risks of things going wrong with the surgery, like infections or issues with the implant. In fact, Nolan already has had several of the sensor threads slide out from his brain tissue, so they had to reprogram things, and it took a little while for him to gain the previous capabilities that he had. Neuralink's already working on improvements to their design to prevent this from happening in the future, but with all the risks with neurosurgery, we definitely want to explore different ways to interact with computers through BCI with wearables, for example. Take, for example, the cognition Axon R, which I got to try several months ago. See, when a person sees a flickering light, there is a strong enough signal in the visual centers of the brain to detect with electrodes on the scalp on the back of someone's head. So the cognition is designed to allow you to focus on different flickering light tags on the augmented reality screen, and it knows which tag you are looking at based on the strobe patterns in your brain. So with this setup, a person can navigate the internet with their mind without an implant. This device recently got FDA breakthrough status and hopefully will one day be available to those with disabilities through insurance plans. On the consumer level, this Neurosity headset can be programmed through their software development kit to control a variety of devices with your mind. There's way less signal resolution than Neuralink, but you can definitely train it to recognize when you are imagining doing jumping jacks or biting into a lemon, and then use their machine learning threshold training and programming to fire off different commands to ChatGPT, for example. In this video, I was able to have ChatGPT draw me a picture of a dragon whenever I imagined pinching my left hand. And for those of us that don't want to wear any headsets, there are wrist wearables from several different companies being developed to monitor peripheral nerve signals in the arm. Facebook famously bought Control Labs to develop such an interface, and other companies like Mudra and Python are developing similar tech. But in my opinion, BCIs are really not just about controlling external machines. They can help you understand what's going on inside of your brain. Some BCIs are designed to monitor and analyze your brain activity to give you insights into your mental and physical state. For instance, when you sleep, focus, or meditate, your brain is going to produce different patterns that we can use to assess your brain function. These patterns can be decoded and provide feedback on things like the quality of your sleep, how focused you are during work, or how relaxed you are during meditation. For example, this same wrist wearable Python has been designed to measure reaction time and impulse control for athletes that are looking to assess how well their brain is functioning on a given day. There's also quite a few neurofeedback devices on the market that I think also qualify as brain-computer interface. That's because they take the brain data in and then give you feedback through stats, sound, or video feedback to help you improve your own brain function. For example, there's these focus tracking headphones called Wearables that are coming out later this month that I think are going to make a huge splash because you can track your focus throughout the day and improve your performance with that data. It even can help suggest music that helps you focus better. I've talked about this Sensei device before, which helps track your brain health based on evoked related potentials and peak alpha measurements, which are all biometrics that give you information about how healthy your brain is. In fact, it's been associated with things like brain age and IQ. And it actually uses pulsing near-infrared light based on your brain measurements to help move your peak alpha frequency to higher levels to improve your brain function. Devices like the Muse headband can be worn to help fall asleep and do sleep tracking. It actually has something called a digital sleeping pill that changes the amount of volume on sleep-inducing audio that fades out as you fall asleep, which is pretty cool. This one, Mendy, actually tracks blood flow of your brain and helps you train focus by measuring how much blood flow there is to the frontal lobe of your brain. So in all these ways, these wearable BCIs can act like brain fitness trackers and give you real-time insights to your brain's performance and help you optimize those different areas of sleep, focus, relaxation, meditation, and anything else that you can think of. So whether you're using it to control a device or monitor your brain health, a BCI creates a direct link between your mind and technology, opening up all new types of possibilities for both personal development and human-computer interaction. If you want specific recommendations on how you might benefit from using one of these devices, click this video here and I'll see you on the other side.